is the only pure thing in this world. The fire came from the mountain, burnt our forest. My people cried for help. But Eva did not.
Hello! In this video, I want to explain why I find Avatar 3 Fire and Ash to actually be a great movie. I would definitely recommend it. So two of the most popular criticisms that I heard about this movie is one is that it's too similar to its predecessor, which to an extent is true, but for me it wasn't a problem. Primarily because the new tribe, the Ash people, were introduced. Now, they were not only an interesting new characters that the movie deals with, but I would argue on a philosophical level, they introduced something completely new, and they also made the movie, the entire story, much more realistic. So one of the reasons why the Avatar universe is kind of simplistic, so it has this very basic moral divide between the primitive savages that are good and the civilized people that are colonizers that want to just exploit nature, destroy everything for profit. So one reason why Avatar has this very black and white conflict is, I would argue, because Avatar actually is the purest representation of Jean-Jacques Rousseau's philosophy of a noble savage. So Cameron deliberately makes the Na'vi people good and natural, and the civilized people evil. But this movie introduces something new. It introduces evil savages, so it diverges from Rousseauian philosophy. And that also makes it much more realistic. Why do I say that? Because when you look at a history of colonization, you always had colonial powers using local populations in their imperial efforts. So, for example, in Belgium, you had the Germans using Tutsis to conquer the Hutus. That later leads to a Rwandan genocide. Then you had the British Empire arming Indians against the French, later against the Americans. So all around the world you had this. In India you had Hindu elites being on the side of the British Empire because they preferred them to the Muslim invaders, the Mughal Empire. So yeah, this change actually makes the movie much more realistic. Other than that, this area that Avatar, at least Avatar 3, is simplistic, I would definitely disagree with it. If you look at a broader conflict, okay, but you could make the same criticism of Lord of the Rings and many other very respected stories. So it's not a problem for me if the overall conflict is simplistic, but the characters inside of this movie are definitely not simplistic. I mean, I was amazed to see the reference to the story of Abraham when the protagonist in the movie almost kills his son because he's convinced that that is the will of his God and that he's saving his tribe by doing it. It's a surprisingly dark scene, and no other Hollywood blockbuster really had this motive in recent years. A main character almost killing his son, that's very dark actually, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. Then you have the evil captain Quaritch, who actually in a bizarre way learns to connect with the Na'vis. He kind of stops hating them, and he even falls in love with Varang, which is a very interesting development. So we have a racist character kind of, let's say, learning to abandon his racism, but in favor of something that's also very bad, and that's the Ash people ideology, which is this religious zealotry that reminds me of the Aztecs. And I would also argue, that's the thing. even sometimes in very simple plot elements, you can open the deepest questions, and I would say that's exactly what Avatar 3 does. So the ideology of the Ash people seems to be something like our god, our goddess abandoned us, so therefore now we worship fire and destruction and chaos. So in a way, you could make the case that the one of the main antagonists of the movie, Varang, is actually dealing with the problem of evil, one of the, let's say, most studied problems in philosophy and theology, and that is why does why does God allow so much evil and destruction? Which, I mean, if you call if you want, you can call that simple, but that doesn't at all seem simple to me. And other than that, well, the movie is just very fun, and I think that that's why it resonates so well with audiences all across the world. It has the anti-imperialist message that is universal, and I think that all audiences can sympathize with such a message. Also, its ecological message is also something that I would say is very much needed in today's day and age. And yeah, it really is just a movie made for an average person in a good way, you know. So it doesn't require you to let's say have a lot of pre knowledge about something. It's not made for a very specific type of viewer. It's made for everybody, for universal audiences, and that's what makes it great. That's actually what movies are supposed to be, in my opinion, for everybody, for the average person. And yeah, I definitely do believe that a movie isn't simple at all. This movie, at least. The first Avatar, you could make the case that it is, because it wants to reflect the Rousseauian philosophy of the noble savage, but this movie completely changes it. And yeah, I'm actually surprised that more people didn't really comment on that change. But yeah, all in all, I would really recommend you to check out this movie. And if you like this review, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.